Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try to change your life, something invisible keeps pulling you back to the same place? And what if I told you it's not bad luck, not fate, not someone else's fault, but you? That's where this story begins. Not in the moment you made a mistake, not in the moment life collapsed around you, but in the quiet space between your thoughts. The place where your subconscious mind has been writing your reality long before you ever realized you were its author. And if that sentence already hit something inside your chest, if you felt even a slight pressure in your breathing, a subtle recognition you can't quite explain, stay exactly where you are. Because what you're about to discover isn't just information, it's memory. Most people walk through life thinking they're making conscious choices, believing they're deciding their relationships, their paths, their reactions, their future. But beneath the surface of your awareness, beneath the noise of your daily identity, there is a hidden architecture, a vibrational blueprint created through years of unprocessed emotions, forgotten pains, silent fears, and subconscious agreements that shaped your perception without your permission. And yet, you always sensed something was off, didn't you? That strange heaviness before repeating a mistake, that familiar ache when you attract the same kind of person, that whisper in the back of your mind telling you, this has happened before, that feeling that your life is not random, it's patterned. Because it is. Inside your quantum consciousness, every memory, every unresolved emotion, every frequency you absorbed in moments of vulnerability became a signal, a code, silently collapsing possibilities in the quantum field into the reality you're living right now. The life you call mine is not a coincidence. It's a broadcast, a projection, a loop of old energy replaying itself until you finally see through it. And if that thought sends a chill down your spine, that's good. It means a deeper part of you is waking up, the part that remembers you were never just the character living inside the story. You were always the one writing it. What you've been calling destiny was programming. What you've been calling intuition was vibration. What you've been calling coincidence was resonance. What you've been calling fear was an echo of the past, still transmitting inside your energy field. You were never taught how reality actually works. No one told you that thoughts are not born in your brain. They rise from frequency. No one told you that emotions aren't reactions. They're energetic signatures. And no one told you that the hidden reality shaping your life responds to one thing only, your dominant vibration, not your desires. But for the first time, you're about to see exactly how this mechanism works. For the first time, you're about to understand why every attempt to change your life felt like fighting against an invisible force. And for the first time, you're about to face the truth you've avoided your entire life. Everything you live today was programmed by you, not the conscious you, but the vibrational you, the subconscious you, the forgotten you, the version of you that has been shaping your path from the shadows. And once you see how this programming works, nothing in your life will ever look the same again. So if even a part of this already makes sense, even a small part, don't leave. Not yet. Because what you're about to hear next doesn't just explain your life, it changes the direction of your entire future. Stay here. This is where everything begins to unravel. If anything in this opening stirred something in you, a memory, a quiet ache, a sudden sense of recognition, honor that. Moments like this aren't random. They're signs that your awareness is beginning to shift, that something inside you is paying attention in a way it usually doesn't. And if you did feel even a small movement in your chest, a subtle pull, a sense of, this is speaking to me, just write I felt it in the comments. Not as a trend, not as pressure, but as a way of marking the exact moment your consciousness responded. Those early comments matter more than people realize. They help this message reach others who are going through the same silent inner battles, people who might not even know they're ready to wake up until they hear something like this. When you engage, you aren't just supporting the channel. You're expanding a field of awareness that grows every time someone new connects to it. And if this kind of content brings clarity, grounding, or even a sense of calm to your life, consider liking the video and subscribing. It keeps this space alive and helps more people discover conversations that genuinely support their inner growth. This community is built on awareness, not noise, on expansion, not pressure. We're just getting started, and what comes next goes even deeper into the part of your reality you've always felt, but never fully understood. Stay close. The next chapter opens a door most people never realize exists. You stayed, and that tells me you're not just listening, you're feeling. So let's move forward from exactly where we stopped, because what comes next isn't theory or abstraction. It's a story that mirrors the quiet ache almost everyone carries, but rarely admits. Imagine a person standing in the middle of their own life, believing all their failures came from bad timing, unfortunate luck, or simply not being enough. On the outside, they seemed fine. They went to work, kept moving, smiled when necessary, tried to stay positive. But underneath, inside the layers of their subconscious programming, something older and heavier was shaping every choice they made. A vibration they didn't create consciously. A frequency planted in a moment of vulnerability. A silent agreement they never realized they signed. Picture them walking home after another disappointment. A relationship falling apart in the same familiar way. A job opportunity slipping through their fingers. A conversation that turned into conflict without warning. They don't know why they're reliving the same scenarios. They only feel the weight in their chest, the tightening in the throat, the quiet voice that whispers, "Why does this always happen to me?" And the truth is cruelly simple. It happens because the emotional field inside them is still replaying a memory their conscious mind forgot, but their energy body remembers. That's how trauma frequency works. It doesn't speak in thoughts. It speaks in repetition. It distorts perception, creating false signals that make danger feel familiar and safety feel foreign. There was a moment, small, ordinary, easy to overlook, when this person realized something was wrong. Not with the world, but with the pattern. They noticed how quickly they distrusted good things, how they braced for loss even when nothing bad was happening, how they self-sabotaged not out of weakness, but because their subconscious believed chaos was safer than calm. They didn't know it, but their vibrational memory was choosing for them. The emotional imprint of an old wound had become the architect of their reactions, and every time life offered something new, their energy quietly pulled them back to what felt familiar, even if it hurt. This person could be anyone. It could be someone you know. But if you're honest with yourself, you may feel something deeper. The sense that this person is you. That you've walked through years carrying weight that didn't belong to you, believing stories that were never yours, reacting to shadows that weren't threats, but echoes. And when you finally see how your own energy shaped these experiences, something inside you breaks open. Not in despair, but in recognition. Because once you realize your life was never a series of random misfortunes, but a pattern generated by your unconscious vibration, you stop blaming yourself, and you start awakening. Awakening doesn't erase the past, but it reveals the mechanism behind it. It shows how perception bends under unhealed energy, how the subconscious mind repeats what it hasn't resolved, and how the quantum consciousness collapses reality around whatever frequency dominates your inner world. Seeing this clearly is the first step toward liberation, because once you understand the pattern, you are no longer controlled by it. And if any part of this feels familiar, if any detail resonates with your own story, take a moment to acknowledge it. Write, "It happened to me" in the comments, not for engagement, but to affirm your awareness, to let this community know that you recognize yourself in this transformation. If this message is opening your perception, consider liking the video and subscribing. It strengthens the energy we build together and helps more people find the clarity they've been searching for. We're only at the beginning of this unraveling, and the next part reveals something even deeper, the exact mechanism through which your energy has been shaping your reality without your consent. You may not have realized it before, but everything in that story you just felt isn't random. It's the setup for something far more uncomfortable, far more revealing, and far more liberating. Because once you recognize the pattern, the next step is confronting the illusion you've lived inside without even noticing. And this part is never gentle. It pulls at you. It dismantles the identity you carefully built. It exposes the truth behind the invisible walls you thought were just how life is. This is where the perception cracks, and you finally see what's been moving your life from the shadows. Think about all the moments you blamed yourself for repeating the same mistake. All the times you thought you were choosing freely, only to end up in another version of the same painful cycle. You assumed you lacked discipline, strength, or clarity, but the deeper truth is far more shocking. Your energy was lying to you. Not maliciously, not consciously, but automatically, repeating the emotional frequency of your past because that's what your subconscious mind believed was safe. Your vibration wasn't aligned with your desires. It was aligned with your memories. And the quantum field doesn't respond to hope. It responds to frequency. That's why your life kept looping. That's why the same disappointments kept showing up with different faces. Your past wasn't just influencing you psychologically, it was still transmitting a signal into the field around you. And the field, obedient and precise, kept collapsing reality around that signal. This is the part that usually makes people feel a mix of anger and relief. Anger because they finally see how much of their life was shaped by an invisible mechanism they never consented to. Relief because once you expose the mechanism, it stops controlling you. You are not guilty for the patterns you inherited, but you are responsible for what you do now that you see them. This is the turning point, the psychological break where the illusion dissolves. It's the moment you realize that the force working against you wasn't a curse, wasn't destiny, wasn't the universe punishing you. It was simply your unresolved vibration echoing through the quantum field, creating outcomes that matched the emotional blueprint you never questioned. When this awareness hits, it feels like waking up from a dream you didn't know you were inside. Your perception sharpens, your energy shifts, your consciousness expands into a new space where you can finally see the architecture of your reality with clarity instead of confusion. Take a moment right now and feel into your chest. Notice how your body responds to this truth. Maybe a pulse, a tightening, a sudden clarity you didn't expect. That sensation isn't random. It's the observer effect in real time. The field reacts the moment you observe the pattern without fear. And this reaction is your first step into vibrational correction, the beginning of shifting the frequency that has been writing your life without your permission. If this is opening your mind, if even a small part of this explanation is helping you understand why your life has unfolded the way it has, tap the like button. Not out of habit, but because it shows YouTube that this kind of content matters, that people are waking up, and that these conversations deserve to be amplified. And if you want to stay connected to every new layer of this awakening, subscribe to the channel. We're building a community grounded in awareness, clarity, and expansion, and your presence here strengthens that field. We're about to move into something even deeper, something that explains not just why your vibration repeated the past, but how you can finally break the loop and create a reality that responds to who you are becoming, not who you were. You're beginning to see it now, the outline of something that was always there, but stayed just outside your perception. And as we move forward, stay with the feeling in your body, because this part isn't about believing or agreeing, it's about remembering. There is a moment in every awakening when the mind stops clinging to the old story and finally allows a new perception to come through. That moment is happening to you right now. Because what you're about to understand is the mechanism that silently shaped your entire life, the hidden process through which your own vibration became your destiny. Most people think their lives are built from choices, logic, or willpower. But beneath all of that, long before any decision is made, your subconscious frequency is already selecting the outcome. The mind doesn't lead the energy leads the mind. And every thought you've ever had was born from a vibration you didn't consciously choose. The illusion begins exactly there. We think we're reacting to reality, but we're actually reacting to our internal signal. We think life is teaching us lessons, but often it's only mirroring unresolved energy we've been broadcasting without realizing it. This is where most people whisper, "How did I never see this?" Because the mechanism is subtle. It begins with a single emotional experience you didn't have the tools to process. Instead of dissolving, the emotion freezes into a vibrational imprint, a frequency stored inside the subconscious as truth. And once that frequency exists, it becomes a filter. It alters perception. It bends reality. It creates a lens that makes you interpret neutral events as threats, opportunities as danger, affection as risk. You didn't know it, but every time you felt an irrational fear, every time you overreacted, every time you pulled back from something good, it wasn't you. It was the echo of that frozen vibration steering your life. Once the frequency becomes part of your identity, the quantum field does the rest. It scans your emotional baseline, reads your dominant vibration, and collapses possibilities that match that signal. That's why you kept attracting the same patterns. That's why every new chance somehow felt like the same old story. You weren't cursed. You were patterned. And the most astonishing revelation is this. The pattern wasn't created by the universe. It was created by your own energy trying to protect you. The hidden mechanism wasn't an enemy. It was a survival strategy that outlived its purpose. Take a deep breath here and notice how your perception shifts even with that understanding. The tension in your chest loosens. The mind becomes quieter. This is the beginning of vibrational alignment, when the body recognizes a truth before the mind fully processes it. You're not just learning something, you're reorganizing your consciousness in real time. This is a quantum shift, a subtle but profound reconfiguration of your inner field. When awareness enters a pattern, the pattern can no longer operate unconsciously. That's the first step of energy correction, the moment your frequency begins to update itself. If this insight is opening something inside you, if you're feeling the atmosphere around you change slightly, that's not imagination, it's perception expanding. And if this is resonating, take a moment to engage consciously. Comment what you're feeling or write something simple like "I am awakening." Like the video if this message is shifting your awareness, and subscribe if you want to continue this journey with a community that is walking through the same transformation. Engagement here isn't a tactic, it's a way of strengthening the field we're building together. And what comes next goes even deeper, because now that you understand how the hidden mechanism was formed, the next step is seeing how to break it, and how to create a frequency that builds a completely new reality around you. This is where the real transformation begins. You're starting to feel it now, that quiet shift moving through your chest, the subtle widening of perception, the sense that something inside you is rearranging itself without your permission. That's the unmistakable sign of consciousness expanding. When the mind tries to hold on to the old version of reality but the energy is already responding to a deeper truth, there's a moment where you sense both worlds at once. The life built from unconscious vibration, and the life that becomes possible when awareness finally enters the field. And as we stand here, right at the edge between what you were and what you're becoming, it's important to understand something most people never realize. You are not going through this alone. Every person who wakes up to the hidden mechanics of their own vibration experiences this same trembling, this same mixture of clarity and uncertainty. It's the moment the illusion begins to collapse. Not because you forced it, but because your perception is now strong enough to see through the distortion that shaped your destiny. And once you see the distortion, once you feel how your subconscious patterns were projecting themselves into the quantum field, the old explanation for your life no longer holds. You can't blame chance, or fate, or other people anymore. But you also no longer blame yourself. The truth sits somewhere in between. Your energy was protecting you with outdated instructions, and now those instructions are dissolving. This realization creates a quiet sense of mission. Not a burden, not pressure, but purpose. Because as soon as you become aware of the hidden mechanism, you're no longer operating from the past. You're creating from presence. You're rewriting the vibrational blueprint that has shaped every choice, every reaction, every version of yourself you thought was permanent. And while this shift may feel small at first, almost imperceptible, it is the beginning of a new resonance. When the subconscious loosens its grip, the quantum field responds immediately. Life begins to echo your awareness instead of your wounds. Perception becomes clearer. Energy becomes lighter. Possibilities feel closer. This is the threshold of true awakening. But this is only the beginning. There is something far greater waiting just beyond this moment, a revelation about how reality communicates back to you once your frequency changes. Most people spend their entire lives unaware that the universe is responding to them constantly, quietly, precisely. And once you understand how this response works, once you see the signs, the synchronicities, the vibrational reflections that appear effortlessly, you realize that your consciousness is not separate from the world you live in. It's in dialogue with it. Your energy speaks, and reality answers. We're about to step into that next chapter together, the part where you discover that the moment your vibration shifts, the world shifts with you. But before we continue, I want you to anchor this moment intentionally. If something awakened in you during this video, write a phrase that matches your expansion. I awaken. I see beyond. I am expanding. Or any words that reflect your inner shift. Your comment is more than engagement. It strengthens the field we're building together. Like the video if this message touched you, and subscribe if you want to keep walking through this transformation with a community that understands what you're experiencing. We are only beginning to uncover the truth behind your reality, and what comes next will change the way you see everything around you.